My name is Tristan Hughes. I'm here with Professor Kinealy for my interview assignment. This is the interview. So, how are you doing, Professor Kinealy?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Are you having a nice Monday?
It's a hectic Monday. I'm travelling to Ireland tomorrow night to do some work, so trying to cram all my advising in, my teaching in, my house cleaning in, dog walking. Hectic, but it's fine.
All right. So, I guess we'll get into the question base now. So, what challenges have you encountered, and what did you learn from them?
Academically?
Yeah, academically, personally.
Yeah, so academically, when I first started studying Irish history, there was a great feeling that we shouldn't criticise the British government too much. It was during a time of conflict in Ireland known as the Troubles, where essentially a conflict between people in the north of Ireland who wanted to be British and therefore part of the United Kingdom, and those who wanted to be Irish and part of the Republic of Ireland. And it was a very bitter, very violent conflict. It's now over. But because of that conflict, it really shaped how we could talk about history, and especially history of being colonised by Britain. And there was almost a form of self-censorship. People didn't want to criticise the British government, either historically or in the present situation. So for me, as a student of the Great Famine, the Great Hunger as it's known in America, trying to get a balance between being rigorous academically, honest, and trying not to offend people too much, but at the end of the day, truth matters, and so I had to tell what I believed was the truth about what had happened during the Irish famine. So that was quite a challenge, and there was a backlash at the time. What's interesting is the things that I said 30 years ago was seen as quite radical and out of the mainstream. Now what I say is very much the accepted orthodoxy and part of the mainstream. But being a young female academic who was going against the orthodoxy was quite a challenge.
It does sound like a challenge with, trying to be like, quote unquote, politically correct, but also having your own opinion
And what I believed, as a historian, you have to go on evidence, and what the sources, the documents were telling me was, the British government could have stopped the famine, certainly could have stopped so many people from dying, emigrating, suffering hardship, but they chose not to do so for political reasons. And again, at that time it was seen as quite a radical point of view, but now as we talk about famine, food hunger, food insecurity in the world today, it's accepted that most famines are preventable and most famines are political. They're not simply caused by food shortages. So again, what I thought was seen as being radical when I said it in the 1990s is now an accepted orthodoxy.
So my second question is, what's your personal definition of success, and how does it tie into your job here at Quinnipiac?
So success for me has never been measured in money or in recognition. I think I see it in terms of reputation. I would like to think, even if people don't agree with me, they respect me for being somebody who takes my research very seriously, who works very hard, who listens to other opinions, even if I disagree with them. I very much believe in civil discourse and civil disagreement. So my success is if, especially by my peers, I'm recognised as someone who respects the scholarship of the historian and abides by that scholarship. And I think having a job that I truly love, I love teaching, I love working with young people, and I really love researching and writing. So to be at my age, and to be able to combine those things and still find it exciting. I do find it exciting. My research takes me into all sorts of rabbit holes I shouldn't go into. It takes all sorts of time, but to be employed in a job that still brings me so much joy, satisfaction, and I still want to know more, I think to me that's success.
And it helps having this like great community where like you have this great library, so that way you can just like dive in when something like pops your interest?
Yeah, I think the library at Quinnipiac, the librarians are the like jewel in the crown. They are the heart of the university. I believe libraries are the heart of every university, and Quinnipiac we are really fortunate because it is such a beautiful space. The librarians are so dedicated, and I spend, as you know, when we meet, I'm always in the library. It's my natural home, so to have that, and I think what you said is actually right, to be part of a community of people who, again, tend to be thoughtful in their responses rather than just angry. I think that's the gift education gives to us. It's a great gift, and especially in these very charged political times, to be in a community where, for the most part, we are safe to explore our ideas and say what we think and what we believe. I think that, again, is it's just a great place to be. I think we're very fortunate. For me, I'm here my life. For students who are here for 4 years, it's treasure every moment.
I agree with that. My third question, what sacrifices have you had to make in order to achieve your success in your own life?
Probably I'm very sleep deprived. I probably need 10 years of sleep to make up for. I probably wasn't the mother who made her children's birthday cakes. I did buy them. We did celebrate birthdays. When I was a young academic, as a female, and I had children, I have 2, son and daughter, it really wasn't allowed that you could talk about your children, because then you were the person who just wanted to be the mummy, not the academic. Things have changed, I think, in a much healthier way. I almost wish I was coming through the system now where it was acceptable that you could balance everything. In my day, you almost had to overcompensate and prove yourself. Again, I'm Irish, I'm in America, and many things I love about America, but as an immigrant, I see myself as an immigrant or an immigrant. I have family and friends in places that I'm 3,000 miles away from, and so my job has brought me to America, but with many great things, but it's also come, I think, I do miss Ireland, I do miss my friends, I do miss my family. So that has been a tough decision, but I suppose I followed my career. So that it's brought rewards in other ways, but nothing's ever perfect, and I think my philosophy is make the most of what you've got and take what opportunities you have when they present themselves.
But you still visit your family in Ireland?
I'm going tomorrow night.
A fairly good amount.
Friends, and in some ways I want to move back to Ireland, but I have a dog who's here, so could I take my dog? So it's, but then I think back to famine immigrants and generations of immigrants who never saw their family again, who couldn't phone them, who couldn't Zoom them, FaceTime them. So in that sense, it's not awful compared to what our ancestors went through. But at times you just want to be in the same room with people you love, and that's hard.
It's very hard, but once you get there, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Fourth question, what are your favorite parts about working where you do?
I think the students at Quinnipiac, I don't say nice, it's such a boring word. I think they're kind, and I think kindness is underrated. In my day we were very political. I think students today are maybe less political. I think they're very socially aware, socially accepting. I think there's a great acceptance of people's sexuality and that it might be fluid. I love that level of acceptance of you whoever you love, that's fine. So I do think students at Quinnipiac are particularly kind. So that's one real strength, I think, for Quinnipiac. I think we had great leadership, and President John Leahy was here. Obviously he was Irish American, so I felt an affinity with what he was trying to do. The location of Quinnipiac is stunning. We're under the Sleeping Giant Mountain, Native American myth. When the people need protection, the sleeping giant will awaken apparently, but the mountain is beautiful. It's just, at the moment it's stunning. When it's got snow on it, it's beautiful. So I think location, and I love the layout of the main body of the university. There's just a graciousness to it, the spaciousness. So I think as a university, it's just a beautiful space and place to be.
I very much agree with that. I love Sleeping Giant, especially the time of year it is now with like all the leaves changing around it.
It's stunning. Yeah.
I hope to go over like the spring and summer when like when I can go quarry jumping
Yeah.
like that. I hope to do that.
And when it's got snow on again, it's each season it's different. It's just beautiful.
I wish I could ski on it.
I think that's a bit dangerous. Apparently,
It would be dangerous, but
ridden with snakes.
Oh well, then I guess it's just only one way to find out.
Yeah.
My fifth
Not
question.
until you've done your degree.
Yeah, we'll see when we get there. My fifth question is how did you get to where you are now?
Circuitously, nothing was planned. I come from a family that university wasn't what they did. They were very poor, but they valued education. So even though my parents left school 14, this many years ago, we always had books in the house. We always read. We always talked, debated, discussed. So education was valued, whether it was formal or informal. And I was the first, even though I was the youngest child and a female, I was the first in my family to go to university, and I just loved it. It was just, for me, it was a whole new world, just the freedom to think. We are so lucky we get, as a student, you get 3 or 4 years, in Ireland it's 3 years, America 4 years, to really think about things, and that's such a luxury that a lot of people don't have. So I loved history, I love English, I love poetry, so from a very early age they just excited me. I chose history. I never wanted to teach. I was very shy. I never thought I could stand up in front of anybody and speak. But I've always been very interested in social justice. I wanted to do something maybe a bit more political with an educational, historical dimension. And then my best friend in Dublin said, we have to teach together because I need your qualifications, and because I was doing a PhD, so we taught a class together, something I never wanted to do. It was an adult evening class, and it was actually quite delightful, and the students were lovely. They were all older than me, and I just realised, which I realise to this day, that teaching something is a great way of learning. You learn from the students and you learn from the preparation. So I've always continued to learn through teaching. So that was my slow beginning in the evening, and then I got a job in Belfast during the Troubles as a sort of education officer, administrator, and again I was asked to do teaching part-time, never thinking it was ever going to be anything more than part-time. It was adults. Belfast those days was very divided between Protestants and Catholics. That was a great challenge, teaching Protestants who thought they were British about Irish history. And then I got offered a job sort of teaching, and I'm like, but that's not who I am. I never regard myself as that. But with it was the ability to do all the research, the writing, which I love. I love writing, it's my therapy. So I found myself sort of in a university situation which I hadn't really aspired to be. But again, all the things we've talked about, how lucky was I? Great conditions, we work with young people, we have so many support networks, so it's, why am I not happy to be here? And I was, and so here I am. But and then I was asked to, I've written a few books about the famine, and in 2000 I think, I was asked to speak at a conference in Drew University in New Jersey about the famine. And it was lovely, and they said, please move here forever, we want you to develop the Irish Studies program. And it took me a few years to make up my mind, because again, my children, my son was just maybe 13, I had a dog, my daughter was going to university, it just seemed, was this the right thing to do, to leave, all the emigrant thing. But eventually I said yes, and I moved to Drew University. And then 2013, President John Leahy had just opened the Famine Museum, the Great Hunger Museum, and he asked would I come and start a program, an institute, again, to do research on the Great Hunger. So none of it was planned. I am not someone who's strategic. I should be, I'm not. But it's, I've worked really hard, but I've had such great opportunities. I've met fantastic people through my work, and as I said to you, it continues to excite me.
I'm very glad that that it's very exciting being here, and you just get to continue learning as time goes on. But
Yeah, no, I do love it. I love preparing. I'm very thorough in my class preparations. I love learning. I really find it exciting, and there's always something new to learn, and new ways to think about things. I really, really love it.
And then my final question is, what kind of impact would you say that you have on the people that you teach here at Quinnipiac?
Oh yeah, I hope I have some impact, even if I always think in a quiet way, because I like, especially teaching Irish history in an American context, I like to challenge people, but not in an offensive way, but to challenge them to think differently about the world, and to think, what does it mean to be an American, what does it mean to be an Irish person, what does it mean to be anybody, because we're Irish, because we're American, we're no better than anybody else, we're just different. And I like people to think about those differences and maybe think about it in a positive way. So I was telling my students last week, university fees in Ireland, they're standard, we don't have that many universities, we have 9, but whichever university you go to, they're €3,500. And my students are like, wow. And it's almost, well, do student fees have to be so high here then? Maybe they do. But again, just thinking about things in a different way. So, and then I'm very involved in social justice always, and all my research is about, like Frederick Douglass, enslavement, about the famine, and just thinking, did these things have to happen? And again, I would always argue no. And if that's the case, how do we prevent cruelty, injustices, famine from happening again in the future? Because we have it in our power. And maybe, I would love, again, my students to think about, they're just one person, but we all have power, we all have a voice, we all have agency, and if we use it, we can make a difference. And if our lives mean anything, I think it should be about making life better for people around us.
I totally agree with that. I think it's what words do I think it's having the power of speech is a very impactful thing that you can have, and learning from the past to make it better for the future also makes a better world in the upcoming years.
Yeah, and we can learn from the past. I mean, we don't always, but we definitely can. And that's why I love history so much, because it teaches us such lessons. I think it's exciting, but we can learn those and say, what mistakes did we make, and why did we allow that to happen? And just people talk about, if I lived during when there was enslavement, we wouldn't have, we would have been abolitionists. But I don't know, because a lot of us, we stand by and see atrocities in the world today, and we don't necessarily do anything. But then I'm not suggesting it's totally simple to do something, but if we inform ourselves and at least have an informed debate, I think that's helping to change. And I think we have that duty, as people who've been to university, to actually bring to any discussion an informed position, whatever side we take.
Yeah. Well, that's all the questions I had. I know it was a small amount of questions, but I'm glad I had the opportunity to talk to you about this.
Okay.
I hope you had a fun time talking to me about this.
They're really good questions. So is this your first year project, or what's this?
This is my SB 101 class, so it's the business environment. So it's we did this career assessment where it spit out a bunch of jobs, and then you would talk to people about, you would find people in those jobs, and then you would talk to them saying, hey, my name's Tristan, I was wondering if I could talk to you about what you do at a 15 to 30 minute interview, and just be more well informed about what possibilities I have after I'm done.
Okay, that's really interesting. Yeah, that's great. So I hope your recording worked.
Yeah, I hope so too. If not, then it'll be a shame.
You'll film me in Ireland.